Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I'm back to you today to read you another story. Last month, I know that a lot of you loved the story that I read to you. The story that I read to you last month was all about worries and knowing what to do when you are worrying. This month, I'm going to read you a story that's one of my favorite stories. This month, the story is called Toestomper and the Caterpillars. I read this story for the very first time a few years ago, and ever since then, I've always loved this story, and I've always read it to my classes when I was teaching 3rd and 4th grade, so I think you'll love it. In the month of April, we talk about the word empathy. I'm sure you've probably heard that word before. The word empathy is knowing how other people are feeling. So stepping into someone else's shoes and thinking, okay, how is that person feeling? And then what can I do to help that person out? Sometimes your friends are happy. And so you can say to yourself, okay, I understand that a person is happy. Now I'm going to join in on their happiness. But sometimes you have to think about how that person is feeling when they're maybe sad or when they're hurting. And what can you do to jump in to help that person through some of the feelings that they have? This story, Toestomper and the Caterpillars, we can start thinking about the word empathy as we read. Okay? So this story is called, like I said, Toestomper and the Caterpillars. It's by Charlene Collicott. Toestomper lived alone and liked it that way. But sometimes when he felt a little lonely, he would go to town and hang out with the rowdy ruffians. "Hello, you low-life rascals," he would greet them. The rowdy ruffians liked Toestomper because Toestomper was mean and rude and disgusting. One day, when Toestomper went to town, his friends weren't there. Toestomper had to cause trouble all by himself. "This town is boring," he said, and he stomped out of town. On his way home, he saw a bunch of caterpillars in a bush. Toestomper stomped the bush flat and growled, "Don't sleep in a bush, you hairy crybabies. Build a hut like everyone else." So let's stop and think about that word empathy. How do you think that the caterpillars were feeling at this moment? Probably not so happy, right? The caterpillars didn't know how to build a hut. They followed Toestomper home to learn. "Get away from me, you creepy creepers," he shouted. The caterpillars tried hard to build a hut by themselves, but it fell over. They looked at Toestomper with tears in their eyes. Their tiny tongues were dry. Toestomper growled, "Here, you squishy wigglies, drink this water, and now leave me alone." Let's think about that word again, empathy. I'm looking back to this page, and it said that they tried to build a hut by themselves, but it fell over, and they looked at Toestomper with tears in their eyes. That does tell me that they were feeling sad. And Toestomper actually said a couple of things that makes me think that he is starting to realize that maybe he should be a bit nicer. It said that they had dry tongues, and he actually went over and gave them some water. So do you think he was starting to maybe be a bit more nice? When the sun went down, the caterpillar shivered outside his door. Toestomper put a blanket in a box, and the caterpillars crawled inside to sleep. "Don't get used to it," he warned. "This is only for one night." Later that evening, the rowdy ruffians came over to play cards. Toestomper cheated, like he always did. "Those furry slugs are driving me crazy," he complained. When Barfy talked about the mischief he had done that day, Toestomper didn't listen. There must be 50 of those fuzzy bugs following me around, he growled. Can't you talk about anything else except those silly caterpillars? Nightmare asked. Toestomper continued. They can't even build a hut. Nightmare banged the table and shouted, I'm leaving. I can't play cards with all this caterpillar talk. Then he poured lemonade over Toestomper. We're leaving too, Basher and Barfy yelled. As Toestomper's friends left, Basher kicked over the caterpillar box. Hey, Toestomper shouted, be careful. The caterpillar sat close to Toestomper and made soft sounds. They tried to clean up the lemonade, but their little feet stuck to the floor. You hairy crawlers aren't good for much, said Toestomper, but at least you don't dump food on me. So now let's think about how Toestomper feels. He wasn't treated so nicely by his friends, and it kind of seems like he's not feeling great about himself or how his friends treated him. So now maybe he's starting to think about how he treats other people. Empathy, right? Thinking about how other people feel. The next morning, Basher knocked on Toestomper's door. Let's go to town and be mean. I can't, Toestomper answered. We're eating breakfast. Then Nightmare stuck his head through the window. Let's go to town and be rude. Not today, said Toestomper. We're reading a book. A little later, Barfy walked by. Come on, Toestomper, let's go to town and be disgusting. Not now. I want to build a buggy. So I think Toestomper is changing a bit. Toestomper isn't fun anymore, Basher whispered to Nightmare. All he cares about are those dumb caterpillars. We have to do something about this. The next day, the rowdy ruffians came by again. Come outside, Toestomper, Basher called. When Toestomper opened the door, his friends yanked him out, tied him up, and fastened him to a branch. Toestomper yelled and said some very awful things. He tried to stomp, but he couldn't move. We're taking the caterpillars, Barfy told him. It's for your own good. Look out, hairballs, Toestomper shouted. Run and hide! Catching the caterpillars wasn't easy. Do we have all of them? Barfy asked. Absolutely, answered Nightmare. Now let's go find the birds. So how are you feeling right now? How are you thinking that the characters are feeling? Think about that word, empathy. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes. How do you think that Toestomper is feeling? How do you think that the caterpillars are feeling? Nightmare was wrong. A few of the caterpillars had gotten away. The birds were eating lunch in a big oak tree. Would you like some dessert? Nightmare asked. Yum, yum, said the birds. The frightened caterpillars heard stomp, stomp, stomp in the distance. Suddenly, Toestomper was in the tree. Don't eat my caterpillars, he shouted. Excuse us, so sorry, said the birds. We didn't know these desserts belonged to you. Toestomper gathered up his caterpillars. Follow me, you frazzled fuzzies. Let's get your buggy. We are going to town. Toestomper wheeled his caterpillars into a clothing store. "Give me the smallest size you have," he said. "Adorable," the townsfolk said. "Just delightful." The rowdy ruffians laughed at Toestomper. "Toestomper? Well, he's not very nice," they jeered. "He hangs out with little dressed-up bugs." "These are my new friends," Toestomper said in a proud voice that startled the rowdy ruffians. "Climb into your buggy, my fancy dandies," he said. Then Toestomper took his caterpillars home and built them their very own hut. From then on, Toestomper was very busy. He hardly ever had time to be mean, rude, or disgusting. And he was never lonely. Once in a while, they let the rowdy ruffians come over to play cards. Toestomper and the caterpillars always won. I hope you love that story. It's called Toestomper and the Caterpillars. And let's go back to that word one more time. Empathy. Empathy means knowing how other people feel, and even sometimes changing the way you act based on the way they feel. Before you say anything that could be hurtful, think about how is that other person going to feel. Or if you have seen somebody and they are sad, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's somebody in your class. If they are sad, what can you do about that? Think about how do they feel and what can I do to make a difference? I hope for the next while, for the next month at least, you're thinking about the word empathy and you're thinking about how other people feel. Put yourself in their shoes and think about how you can help make a difference as well. I hope you love the story, Toestomper and the Caterpillars. And like I said last month, this book will be in our library as well. So if you would like to check out the book, you can do that. I'll see you next month when I have a new story for you, and I hope you enjoy. Have a great day, everybody.